I'm heading. It's a local flight and probably
Oh,
Pensacola.
Pensacola.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I could go
But
there today.
the driving
I got
is
nice beaches.
7 hours. I said I don't gonna drive, so uh, I'm going for my girlfriend's. Her daughter, she's in college over there, so she plays soccer.
Nice.
Yeah, but she flew from Puerto Rico there, so they invited me, so I couldn't say no. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna be watching soccer. I care for God, no, but sometimes you need to cooperate. How's everything, Benjamin? How ready
Oh, we're good.
for the PMI Global Summit?
I'm still tentative. I haven't locked that in yet. But probably. I know how I am. I always end up showing up. So
Yeah,
it's really more about my work schedule that's the problem. Trying to make sure everything's covered if I leave for that half a week. But yeah, things are good.
yeah. Ethan, so I gonna leave you that you host this mastermind meeting today. Because I
Okay, you need me to help with
know
that. Okay.
where I am now, so it's all yours.
Oh, okay. Are you gonna have to hop off, Dr. Tony, at some point to catch your flight? Yeah. Okay.
Uh, I don't see. So let me make you pause, so just in case. Felipe is here already.
Yes, hello everybody.
Hi, Felipe.
Hey, Felipe.
So both of you co-host, just in case my system broke.
Okay, I see that. Yes. Okay.
Hey, Tanya,
Hey, hey, how are you?
you have a busy agenda. I saw that you have like a 20 speaking events.
It's, it's kind of great. I think I get to meet Sarah. I think I get to meet you at Dallas, right? Are you going to be at PMI Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm planning to
I
wear
just,
your favorite shirt.
yes, that was, I'm trying to remember. Okay, no, it was like, it was something about the Gantt chart, but I
Yes, I'm
loved the
sorry I
sense of
can't.
humor. It
Yes.
was, yeah, it was the storytelling and it was the humor. And I need to follow up with them because I don't know if we can invite like that Cafe Gecko thing that they've got the night before for the meet the speakers.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have that, just to people who registered or if it's open wide. I'm going to ask them that because if it's open wide, I'm just going to like float that out there on LinkedIn for anybody in the area to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
say
Reach
hi.
out to Susan and ask her. I think it's just for the speakers to meet each other, but it might be
Okay.
different. But my understanding
I
is
would-
it's just for the speakers to connect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
have an ask for both of you. So send me a picture of the PMO-BP family
Oh yeah.
for the
you know
encounter.
this.
We will do
Yep.
it.
Yep.
You have
I'm
to like
trying to keep up with you,
actually
Swear.
do it though. I had my whole team over. There were like 20 people in our house and we intended to do a picture and everyone left and we're like, wait, we didn't take a picture.
Yep.
I think
Make a plan.
even if it's a really low quality selfie, Tanya and I will get it done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's just, and I have to remember to bring like the Osmo. This was something that Dr. Tony, I had bought this for seminar at sea, and then I couldn't get it working on the ship. But Russ got inspired and he bought his. And so now like I'm trying to bring it to Baton Rouge this weekend and do like AI conversations and random stuff, but half the stuff is not going squirrel and getting completely distracted and forgetting to do all the things that I said I was going to do. So we'll
What's
figure it out.
Osmo? Somebody tell me what that is.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna ask.
It is like a little, it's a video recording tool and it's got a gimbal on it. So I had gotten this about a year ago. I think at the time it was around $700. The price has gone down on it, but it's like you carry it around, you can put it on its little stand. It does pretty good video quality, but it'll follow you around, and it's an extra extension for carrying video rather than just having to use your cell phone. And you connect it to your cell phone and then you download it, and you can either upload the full videos or you can put it through tools like Opus Clips where it separates out the videos and gives you different shorts of it. So it's another technology tool. And like I love Best Buy because they've got the financing where you don't have to, you can stretch it out over time and it's usually 0%, which helps with stuff. So I just try to remember to bring it and have some fun with it to create content and stories. So yeah, it's Digi Osmo. We put that in the chat.
Dr. Tony, if you don't mind, I have a question for the group, but I'll save it for the appropriate time.
Okay.
Unless I can dip it in. So
Yeah.
I know you're trying to get started. We could probably talk
Yeah,
forever.
so we can take some meaningful questions and chat around. Ethan, if you can get started with the topics that we have for today. So we've been for the new one that joined for the first time. So we always have a topic to discuss, and we go around, ask questions, and then we take the time to bring a specific thing.
Do we, I'm sorry, do we send the agenda out?
It's the same agenda for the last, but I think I didn't send it today. But it's the same agenda because we couldn't facilitate the topics last time.
Okay. Sorry, I'd have to pull it up. I apologize.
So we have Felipe is there, so
Yep.
I can share you the screen and he can introduce you.
Yeah, so we tried this, I think, was it a month ago, Felipe?
Yes.
And it just didn't work with everybody's schedule. So appreciate you all, helping with the doodle. We're trying to figure out what works for the most people. So at least the next few uh, meetings we have for that, and we may try a similar approach as well for future meetings. But real excited, Felipe. You were, I think, part of the first cohort that we had.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
right?
With
The original cohort. So program's come a long way since then, but certainly been just a star among the community. We're always just so impressed with seeing all the things you're doing, Soren, just doing so well in all the ways. But we're real excited to have you here today. So I'm gonna pass the reins to you, and looking forward to having you lead us today in your topic.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ethan, and everybody. And to your point, it's amazing to see how our community, our family is growing here. So I'm very excited to see how things, are going. And then that's the idea here with the PMO-BP, and so grateful to have many knowledgeable and experienced professionals here. So that's what I'm looking for, and absolutely um, each one of you is looking for it as well. We'll put up here, I'll share my screen, just a sec. Um, only, okay. Can you all see my screen?
I can see
Yes.
Is
it.
that working? Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so Ita, I'm just not sure how much time, if there's any other topic, but either way, I'll try to not to take too much time here. But let me know if you look at the agenda, if there's anything else, just feel free to jump in and communicate if there's anything else to be shared. So for now, I would like to present here about strategic thinking for PMO leaders. I've put together some content here that I think it's gonna can help you to reflect a little bit and consider other perspectives in your day-to-day working as a PMO leader, and then also with others working with you. So in terms of the agenda topics, so let me just, because there's a screen here on my side here with Teams. Right. I will not be able to. Okay, so I'll not be able to look at your faces right now. So just let me know if you have any questions, or just speak up if you wanted to say something. Okay. So in terms of the agenda items, I brought some things here. So we starting with the PMO challenge and value mandate, the strategic mindset shift, uh, the perspectives and biases and some potential blind spots that sometimes we cannot identify. I'll also bring a framework to help with the decision intelligence. And then last, if we have time, we can go through a quick case study. And to kick things off here, so with the PMO leadership challenge, we've been hear a lot of people talking about technology and AI, all those advancements, but the reality that we see with many organizations is that they are focusing a lot on the data, how rich your software or your company is working with data, right? But there's an issue on how decisions are made, right? So we see people focusing on reports and bringing comprehensive dashboards and all the KPIs and all that stuff, but still there's a challenge to enable efficient and effective decision making, and then that's part of what we should do as PMO leaders, right? And then what we see on the left here, what typical PMOs produce, or what we see, or what we can remind of something that we saw in the past, that focusing a lot of on reports, the resource utilization, the schedule variance and cost, risk register. But in reality, the reality is what executives are actually thinking of. And that's an exercise that we should reflect on and think about. Is on the other hand, we see the executives thinking about strategic alignment gaps, the portfolio trade-off recommendations, the risk exposure, and then the decisions that are supported by evidence, right? And here we see with this ongoing transformation, we see that we have we have a value mandate, right? That shifts this the task oriented way of view things to value oriented perspective. And once we try to connect what we are doing to what the executive needs and then what they're looking for, we will understand better how to prioritize and make better decisions, or to support those decisions in order to get better, to achieve the organizational objectives. And as per the value mandate, usually what is the path here? It starts with a pain. We have a service, the outcome, and then we think about how we can measure in order to become a real achieve this benefit. Because what is the difference when we try to think about, okay, so how can we establish the benefits and achieve those benefits? To realize those benefits, it needs to be something that we can measure, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be something random and not necessarily will be able to achieve the value that we need. And here I wanted to bring a difference between the critical thinking and strategic thinking. Critical thinking, we ask the question, is that true? Right? We question ourselves. We try to understand what are the assumptions and if there's any logical fallacies, and we try to test the validity of the claims before accepting. And we consider three major points here. So it's the analytical, it's more focused on the analysis and retrospective. We focus on the accuracy of the information. And we ask if this is reliable, is the source something that we can rely on. On the other hand, for strategic thinking, we think about what should we do next. So it's more focusing on the decisions and not much of what is the source of information, right? So we try to think about the direction and the value and how this is connected to the strategic objectives. So there is a slide, actually not a slide, but there's a difference between those, because although both of them they have thinking, but with different focus. And I wanted to bring this model here, which was called the ladder of inference. And this tells us a lot how our brain functions, how our brain works. It all starts at the bottom with the data. We have a pool of data that we have access, and we are selecting the data based on our observations. And then the way our brain works, for everything, we try to attach a meaning to something and then arrive at a conclusion. But between the meaning and conclusion, there is a gap. And those gaps, we fill them with the assumptions. And then that's where is the danger many times. Because those assumptions are made based on our experiences, the culture that we lived in, and the way that we see the world, right? How we grew up, and the way that we got accustomed to of seeing things. Then after the conclusions, we have our beliefs, and then turns down into actions. And this works as a reflexive loop. Every time that we come across similar data, we tend to take similar actions, and because we carry those assumptions and we have those beliefs. So think about it every time that the way that you are very sure about something, is there's a room to question and maybe consider different perspectives to understand if that is actually accurate. And take this idea to the strategic PMO mindset shift. How things have been, ideally, what should be the change, right? Instead of project controls, where for many years, PMO have been seen as controlling, and just taking care about schedule costs and scope variances. But when you think about that, there's a value realization. And this is and in order to achieve that, we think about, okay, so there's a portfolio trade-offs. And then how can we achieve the value realization? We have to think about decision enablement. So how can we make efficient and effective decision making to support those strategic objectives of the organization, what the organizations are actually looking for. Are they looking for the schedule variances only, or they're trying to think something greater than that? And taking this idea, translating the letter of inference to the PMO reality, this is also this is an idea that we can adapt, right? So starting with the sense, we scan environment, remember the pool of data, and then we interpret, we prioritize, we align, we act, and then we learn. In Lean, we call it a PDCA, not PDCA, sorry, the PDSA. It's a little bit different from the PDCA. The difference is between the C and the S, where the C where it stands for check, and for improvement cycles, it stands for study. So, and that's why this idea of learning, right? So we plan, we do, we study, and then we act, so that in a project, we are always running improvement cycles. It's something, we have multiple PDSA cycles in a project, and then this also can be utilized in a program and portfolio perspective. And talking about perspectives here, I wanted to bring this picture. So I think this resonates to many of you when imagine an organization, right? We have different departments with different ideas and different expectations. And then when we talk about what the organization is looking for, if we talk to different people and departments, maybe they have a different understanding of what the organization is looking for. You, as the picture here, they are touching the same thing, but they are based on their assumptions, as I mentioned, and they have different beliefs, different expectations, and this can impact the way your organization is adding value. So, and then for us as PMO leaders, we need to work on those blockages and see how we can facilitate the way that the organization works as a whole, and we're following the same vision. Because remember, when we are talking about the benefits, it starts from the top, where the organization has the missions, their values, the vision, then that translates to the benefits, and then how can we achieve those strategic outcomes? And then we have our portfolio management program, project management. So try to think about how this is happening in your day-to-day and in your organization. And then talking about perspectives, I took this example as well, which is very interesting. Imagine that you are in the car, and this is how you see, this is your view, right? You're comfortable in a car. Here it's at a very high speed, but is that the only the things that you have access here? You think that you are under control, and then that you are seeing everything. But from the outside, you may be not noticing things that you cannot see from the inside. And then that's a part of the idea of the blind spot. So here we have the balloons outside, something that can be beneficial to your organization, but you cannot see that. And then how can you take a different perspective and take different points of view in order to help yourself, your team, and the organization? Try to understand what are the expectations, right? So for the executives and sponsors, they see strategic intent and investment returns, but what would be their blind spot? Maybe they're missing the delivery realities and ground level constraints. And then when I talk about ground level constraints, I think about that tool, that practice called Gamble Walk from Lean, where you need to go to the floor to understand what is actually going on at the operational level, and maybe some of the improvements that you can identify by getting in there and talking to people who are actually involved and putting their hands on the work. Or delivery teams, they see complexity and resource pressure, but potentially they don't have much visibility into shifting strategic priorities. For customers and finance, they see value received and cost incurred, but maybe they don't understand the portfolio independencies. And for risk and compliance, you see exposure and obligation, but may not identify innovation and opportunities in portfolio decisions. So this is part of what the PMO can support the organizations to help bring this integration and understanding of the group. We work as a group, and although we have different functions and business units, but still we need to come up with a single vision in order to achieve those strategic outcomes. And here, there's 4 common situations where you see first the confirmation bias, where decision makers they select and gather and interpret the data that confirms the existing beliefs, but it may ignore the evidence that challenges their preferred course of action. Maybe there's a better outcome or a better solution, but you are stuck on your beliefs. Conformity pressure. When the group suppress the dissenting views, the teams everybody agrees, they get into an agreement on a situation or a decision, but internally they have their doubts. They question if that would be actually something beneficial. We have the sunk cost bias and also the pet project bias, where there's someone who's actually the champion who is protecting his project at all costs. But if there's a huge negative impact to your organization, it becomes a problem. And when we talk about dashboards, once I've heard from Americo when he talked about the watermelon dashboard, where from the outside is green, but when you cut it, you see it's all red. And here you may not notice from the dashboard. So maybe you have weak benefits, your capacity overload, risk exposure, and poor strategic alignment. Those are some of the things that maybe fancy dashboards sometimes they don't identify, and we need to be careful of that. And then in terms of solution, right? We as a PMO, there's an importance of following structured ways of implementing solutions. And this is a tool called Radar, where we have the R of relevance, A of authority, D of date, A of accuracy, and R of reason. So for relevance, we need to ask the question, does this insight directly relate to a current strategic priority or a decision that your organization needs to make? Authority is the resource credible and authoritative? And who produced this data? D of date, if the information is current, if it's outdated. A of accuracy, in terms of has that been validated or maybe there's something that needs to be aligned and are of reason. If there's a logic and a connection between the insight and just that may impact in your decision. Okay. And for strategic alignment in practice, we have those six topics here. So we have a strategy. If the initiative is directly is connected to the strategic objective, the value in terms of expected return, whether it's a financial or any other type of value, the risk, capacity, if we have enough people, budget, in resources in general, is that urgent, and the dependency impact. And then one thing that we talked in the PMO-BP content is about the minimum viable governance, the MVG. So how can we adapt and tailor solutions in order to help eliminate things that maybe are not supporting the decision-making of fast, efficient, and effective decision-making? And some of the principles for the MVG is related to every governance touch point must enable a decision. The authority should sit at the lowest level, the lowest competent level. The transparency replaces unnecessary escalation, and the governance adapts to initiatives, risk, and its scale. So the bottom up here is the goal is not necessarily is not less governance, but it's the right size governance. So that we bring in this aspect of tailoring in a fit for purpose manner, so that we can help the organization make the right decisions at the right time, so that it can have more confidence on their decisions. So we talked about the problem associated with focusing only on the data, but when you bring that into a structure, we think about, okay, we have the data, but what we need to do with the raw data, we need to turn this into information. Then we interpret with the insight, we make the decision to support an evidence-based decision-making that will help achieve the value that we are looking for. And here I've put here a case study, but I don't think that we'll have time to cover that. So just to jump here I wanted to take some time for us, open the floor for us to discuss what I'm presenting here. And when you think about the PMO leader as a strategic advisor, some of the things that we can focus on. First, the options. So present 2 to 3 credible courses of action. So not only one path, and because it's important to show, even if it's one is not as strong as the other option, but still is important to show some options and to get different perspectives and not only focus on one solution. The trade-offs. So what would be the potential benefits and the disbenefits when we are considering those options? The risks of and benefits, and a clear recommendation. So it's like I said, this is structured approach can help you with your organization to make better decisions. And to finalize here for the key takeaways, first, challenge your assumptions. We know that dashboard visibility is important, but it needs to bring something. When you think about the perception of value for the organizations through PMO services, we need to think about how can we add this perception of value over time. So the dashboard's visibility works well for the short term, but you also need to combine with other services that can bring this perception of value also in the mid and the long term. Connect work to outcomes, because not necessarily, as I mentioned in the beginning, when you think about it's to shift the task-oriented approach to a value-oriented approach, to a result-oriented approach. And last but not least, they guide better executive decisions. So we support, as PMOs, we support efficient, effective decision making. So those frameworks and structured way to approach the way that we guide better decisions is really important. It's not only helpful for us, but also for the organization as a whole to understand that there is a path, and then we need to understand the benefits of following a guided structure. And that's it for my presentation here. So now I would like to open the floor, and let me just stop sharing here. If you have any comments or questions.
I loved your simple framework there towards the end of the PMO leader as strategic advisor and how to clearly and quickly add, influence to the conversations and decisions that are being made. So well done, Felipe.
Thank you. Thank you, Ethan.
I wrote down a couple things, Felipe, that really stood out to me that I'm actually hoping that you're going to share your presentation. The strategic versus critical thinking. I loved the transition of the Plan, Do, Check, Act versus the Plan, Do, Study, Act. The perspectives matter, and then the minimum viable governance. I actually love that. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go back and look at my decision intelligence framework and try to be more simple in the structure.
Oh, amazing, amazing, Sarah. Yeah, this is this idea of it's something that I've been reflecting on because we see a lot of I've seen people focusing a lot on the most high tech and consider that all of the organizations, they have a very functional and established PMO, but the reality, what we see a lot is the opposite. We see organizations working in silos and many other challenges that the PMO needs to address. And the matter of bringing different perspectives on how we translate those services into outcomes and then benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important, because if we just think about, okay, so if I have all the great tools, the most up-to-date technology, it does not necessarily translate to value, right? Yeah, I see a couple of hands here. So
Kathleen was next, yeah.
Yeah, I like Sarah, I wrote down the concept of minimum viable governance, and governance is a huge part of my role, and we're always trying to be an enabler, make things run faster, but to put a label on it that is so simple, I think could really help us move to where we're trying to be.
Yeah, that resonates with me as well, Kathleen, because right now I'm here working as a PMO governance lead, and those are some of the issues that I'm facing here as well. And I know it's not easy, and yeah, so that's why consider other perspectives is important, and then also combining that with a structural approach.
Mark, do you have a?
Yeah, just wanted to, first of all, excellent presentation. Just so many takeaways. Yes, I already sent you a message on LinkedIn saying I want a copy. So even before you
That's
got
okay.
halfway through. So no, and that we were talking on in the sidebar here a little bit about the critical thinking aspect, and I had mentioned the EQ kind of tied to it. Um, and where you eventually went to with the MVG and all these other things is we've said right sizing. The one thing that I've looked at always is where are we becoming trusted advisors to the organization, right? How do we endear ourselves to leadership to where it's a given that we get pulled into these situations before they become a problem, and we go into firefighter mode. Um, so I like the sort of the hands-on but light touch
Yeah.
approach that you're kind of taking to it, which is don't just cram it down them, right? You stand with them and beside them as they go, and again they look to you and go, oh well, of course we want Felipe here to help us figure this out before we cause a problem for ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, perfect, Mark. And then some other elements that I think about. We talked a lot about here in the PMO-BP program about co-creation, right? And instead of just standing on your desk and think about all the hundreds of tools and techniques and then just dump into the organization, then you will feel a lot of resistance and people feeling reactive, and they don't see the reason why they should follow. So combining this with the connection with the peers and understand the stakeholders, what are their pains, and bring in a common ground of, okay, so what would be the quick wins here, and how can we bring this perception of value over time so that the entire organization or your specific department will perceive this value, right? Good stuff. Yeah.
Don, you had a question or comment?
Definitely a comment. So I just wanted to say, great job, Felipe. It was really, really good to see you in action. I did love how you used mostly simple language in it. And I've heard so many other conversations and seen stuff here, the translation, the kiss, the keeping it simple. I think when we're really wanting to earn that seat at the table, a lot of times it does take that simple language where we're not using words that they are not going to recognize or that we have to frame to them differently. That's part of why I love the storytelling so much, but even meeting the other modes of divisions from human resources to finances to legal, bring them the what's in it for them. Use AI, even if we have any gaps in our knowledge, like what OKRs or KPIs does legal care about? What should we tell them to measure? And bring those questions to the table where you're starting in a language that's important to them and asking them open-ended questions to be able to have that opportunity to gently and diplomatically challenge assumptions. So, and Ethan and I spoke earlier this morning, and so like the always starting with the why. Why does this matter? Let's talk about this. But great job. It was awesome to see you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and then to your point, I remember something that sometimes there's confusion, that people confuse what is the focus on the client and what is the client's focus. I think there's a difference between the two. And when when you think about clients, or focus on the client, and then sometimes when we use this, we start to do things bringing our perception and our interpretation, what would be actually beneficial to the client. But sometimes it disconnects to what are the client's focus. So what is the client actually trying to achieve? So I've seen so that's resonates a lot to what you mentioned right now. To how can we uh, get to this get this shift is by talking to them and understanding what they're looking for, and not just bringing our assumptions to them, right?
Excellent. Any other questions or comments from what Felipe shared? It's a great presentation. Really impressed. So thank you so much, Felipe. And I know there's a lot of interest, right? People are asking if you can share. So if it's easier, feel free if you want to share it to Dr. Tony and me, and we can just
Sure.
send it to the whole group if that's easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we have a few minutes left, really what we had left was just kind of giving a little bit of updates on the BP of what we've done and where we're going. Um,
Okay.
so, and I know, Sarah, you were part of the last cohort in June. That was our largest cohort yet. I think there were 10 people in the cohort group. It's phenomenal set of leaders, just as always. So, really blessed. And so we're continuing. This is the first year we have three cohorts. Last year was our first year, right? We had two. So we do have the September one coming up. I think it's the second and fourth weekends in September. Ideally, our ideal target group is 6 to 10 participants. Minimum, we like to see at least four. We have three signed up. So ideally, we'd like to get at least a couple more signed up. So feel free if you want to, share on LinkedIn, talk to your friends or people in your network. And don't forget, of course, any referrals. That's we do pay out a referral bonus for that. All you have to do is just provide a name, contact info to Dr. Tony, myself, Kareen. Kareen's the one that does most of that for you. So, and one of the things that a lot of people will do is like you should all have the pins, the BP pins. So if you go to like PMI events or any other get-togethers with project or PMO professionals, wear the pins. It strikes up conversations, and again, that can lead to somebody having access to this program and sparking up those conversations. So, um, where we're going though, well, the last cohort we introduced a few things that were new. So, we and this is a lot of this is based on the feedback that many of you have provided from past cohorts. Uh, but it's really we're shifting a little bit more from just you know the slideshows, the content. We're still keeping a lot of that, but trying to put more time on the group exercises, the simulations, and in fact, we had I think it was day three. We had that simulation that was very well received. Sarah, I know you were part of that. Um, but that's where I think people are really finding more value. So a couple things we're doing. We're creating a workbook approach. So and we introduced that was kind of like first phase, but where we're putting all the different exercises, some materials in the workbook, and then we're also building a body of knowledge as well for the PMO-BP. So we may be presenting in the master classes a little bit of less specific content information because we want to get more time for those exercises and simulations. But anything we take out is going to go right into that body of knowledge. So everybody's still going to have access to that, even if we spend a little bit less time on certain topics. Um, and then we're kind of branding things a little bit better together as well. So I think some of you may have seen some of the presentation. You also have access to this, right? You have lifetime access, so you'll see maybe a different look for that as we're using Claude AI tools to help kind of make it all have a similar look, a little cleaner look as well. Um, so yeah, lots of exciting things happening, and we're just and then I think there's some ways we're looking at maybe even combining or changing a little just slightly that some of the topics as well, just again based on feedback. But overall, right, we've continued to get good feedback on the daily surveys and after cohort surveys as well. Everybody seems to be, we're doing a lot of things well, but you know us, we're like as PMs, right? We're always looking to get that A+ and continuously improve as well. So keep, if you guys have ideas, again, even though you may have already taken the cohort, feel free to share those ideas with the group, with Dr. Tony or myself, and we really do value that, and we'll keep this going. Um, One of the things, and Felipe, we great job today again. We like having opportunities if anybody has certain topics they want to share where we can all learn and kind of discuss like we did today. So definitely feel free to reach out to us. We may also reach out specifically to some of you to see specifically ideas. But also, this is a forum where we can help each other. And that's one of the pride points, I think, for the BP community, for me, and I think for many of you, is how much we help each other out. I've seen consulting relationships, work jobs, and contracts that have come from this, right? Where one of you have had a need, and then somebody else is able to help out with that. I've seen people get new jobs. I've seen people get promotions, and I love those wins. But it's also a great way if any of us are experiencing any issues, things they need help with, ideas at work, where we can discuss as a group as well. Of course, we have conversations on the side. But if you let us know ahead of time, if there's something specific, we can add that to the agenda as well. But before we go today, I just want to see, is there anything that any issues anybody's facing? Maybe they want to bring it up for group to get some ideas. Any help specifically that you may need where we can be of help and service to you. So just want to open the floor there.
I don't have a specific issue that I'm trying to solve, like in the environment. And I know, Ethan, you're with me in this camp that we're actively seeking our next opportunity to serve a business somewhere.
Yeah. So, with Sarah, and I know I'd appreciate it. That's one thing we do, right? We've helped people out with that. If there's certainly connections that can be made, that's always great. And even though, I recently got back on the job market myself, but certainly if any of you need any connections or help, anything I can help you out with, please let me know as well. Always happy to help. But as far as any issues that, the PMOs you're part of, any specific things that may come to mind, everything's going swimmingly well.
This is Dave. I don't know whether everybody can hear me or not. We had a panel session review yesterday for the GPMF, and I'm on a panel that talks about the efficiency in using AI professionals. And the three panelists that I was on with all were PMO experts. So it looks like the panel session at the GPMF will probably be 45 minutes, and there'll be 6 panelists, and I'll be one of them. But the focus seemed to be on efficiency and whether AI promotes efficiency. PMO will be a resonant thing at GPMF, because I did not know that PMO was not mentioned in the title, but everybody wants to talk about PMO. So, if anybody has any ideas or thoughts that I might bring forward at the GPMF in September, that's the Global Project Management Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, with Tony and probably some other. Tanya, I think, is going to be there, and some others.
I'm not at that one. Maybe next year. I'll have to get with you on your experiences after and figure out the whole international strategy for next year and how all of that works.
Okay. Well, we're expecting 30,000 people in the main hall, so there may be a crowd. But the whole idea is, and the thing that I pointed out, that you can make it more efficient, but that doesn't make it better. If your PMO is not or if um, your your organization is not producing things correctly, making it so it makes things efficiently bad is not a good thing. And that you got to have the humans in the loop. So just because you're making widgets that suck and nobody wants to buy, making widgets that suck and nobody wants to buy more efficient. Take a look at the the value and keep the humans in the loop both before and after. And I think it it resonated. Certainly, would like any thoughts or ideas that I can look brilliant in front of these people and Mr. Tony also. So I just appreciate any thoughts. The other thought that I had that I shared with Tony, and I don't know whether it's brought up, is that every one of us, if we're ambassadors, instructors, or just certificate holders for BPMO-MP or PMO-BP, we need to get our skills into LinkedIn. It's sure there are appropriate skills in our LinkedIn profiles that have to do with the PMO or PMO-BP, EQ, other skills. But add those in, but we also got to go back in and look at each other and actually endorse each other with that have those skills. So each time we have a class, right, I go in and look at their skills, and nobody has anything related to PMOs and their skills. And so that should be one of the thoughts that we leave with them. And, it'd be nice to, within our community on LinkedIn or whatever our group is, and say, please make sure you put skills in there. And then if somebody says done, then go look at them and endorse them if they're worthy. By taking the cluster of ambassadors, instructors, and successful students and actually promoting it with their skills on LinkedIn, or even recommend them.
Dave, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, the GPMF is what, 5, 6 times the audience size as Global Summit. So that's incredible. You and Dr. Tony go in there.
Yeah, 30,000. So that's what we're told. But of course, there's a little kerfuffle going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So who knows who's not going to show up.
Yeah, that might affect it a little bit. But if you're interested, I'd certainly welcome if you want to reach out to me. We can set up a little time to talk and we can maybe brainstorm some things if that would be helpful for you. I'd welcome that. And really great point on the LinkedIn too, the skills. And that's something we all can do. Maybe that's a good reminder for us to even support each other in that way, right? We're all on LinkedIn, and to endorse each other, because I know I would endorse every single one of you in PMO project skills and stuff. So maybe I'll make an action to that and go check everybody out. So all right, we've got about 2 minutes left. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? Any other questions or thoughts? Did you find today's meeting, was this helpful, valuable for you, the things we talked about and shared? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll let you all go. Have a great rest of your week, and so good to see you all. So
Thank you.
take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody.
Have a great day. Take care.